What's up guys, it's me Jeremy, and welcome to my guide for Elise support. She's been played in a few LCS matches recently, and I've easily come to see how she is a top tier support champion. In this guide I'll assume that you already know what all of Elise's skills do, but if you don't, I recommend looking it up on the League of Legends wiki page. Let's start off by going over the pros and cons of Elise support. Starting with the pros. The first is that Elise has very high damage. This allows her to be a strong force in teamfights, as well as the laning phase, giving her the ability to solidly contribute with large amounts of damage in fights. Another pro is that she has mobility. No other competitive supports in the game have mobility similar to Elise's Repel. This allows her to have amazing chase and diving potential, as well as a decent, although somewhat unreliable, escape. In addition, this makes her amazing at catching people out and picking off a target for a free kill. She can also use this mobility to dodge skills very easily due to the way it works. Also, Elise has a kit with technically 7 abilities on it, so that gives her a ton of utility. She has CC, mobility, damage, and can even kill towers fairly quickly relative to other supports because of a huge attack speed buff. This allows her to have a ton of outplay potential and makes her fairly hard to play against. It also allows her to react to situations very fast, making her a powerful support champion. The last pro I came up with is that Elise can snowball very hard. If you are getting a few kills, she will become very strong and easy to get kills with due to the nature of her kit. Now moving on to the cons. The first is that Elise is very squishy. Even though her spider form does give her some tankiness, she can get killed really fast by people because her health isn't that great and you don't really build her like a normal tanky support. Next is that Elise has naturally poor positioning. You need to be close to targets to deal damage to them, and that makes you vulnerable. Even though she does have an escape, I find myself dying very fast in fights sometimes after I use my repel. Third is that Elise's stun is a skill shot. This makes it a little hard to hit and leaves a lot of room to capitalize on it if you can dodge it, since her cocoon is a crucial part of her kit overall. The last con I came up with is that Elise support has no sustain. This makes it so that if you lose a trade, it hurts your presence in the lane a ton, because you can't really regenerate the lost health, and it's a huge weakness that can easily be capitalized on by your opponents, so watch out for this. During the laning phase with Elise, you want to try to poke down your opponents by playing aggressively. Use your cocoon when you can hit it, and follow up with a W and double Q combo utilizing your spider form for extra damage, and to escape to avoid taking damage. This combo in coordination with your AD carry can easily burst down targets to less than half HP, or even kill them with summoners, so it's important to know how much damage you do and if you can come out on top in an all-in fight, because it's very easy to start a fight with Elise by hitting that cocoon. It's important to avoid taking free damage because you have no way to make up for the lost difference. Note that Elise does not gain a jump in power at level 6, unlike your opponents will, so watch out for your opponent's potential once they hit that level 6 margin. During the teamfight phase, you want to kite for your carries by hitting your stun onto people who dive them. After that, you can actually try to zone out a high DPS target due to the fact that you actually do some damage. This is somewhat sketchy though. Your role is to protect your carry, but you have the potential to dive and kill enemy targets. Judge the situation for yourself and make the best of it, as teamfighting on Elise is fairly finicky. I want to make a special mention about Elise's Repel here. This ability gives her so much power in terms of outplaying your opponents because you can dodge skills extremely easily, as well as chase people down, but it does have a long cooldown. It's very important to use this ability to its fullest extent in a teamfight, as you likely won't get to use it more than once. Matchups on Elise are fairly complex. She has awesome damage but no sustain, making most matchups a high risk, high reward situation, where the winner is usually just the better player. For the support matchups, I would say Elise has a solid matchup against everyone except for Leona, Taric, and Thresh. Their ability for a ranged hard engage while also being tanky enough to win a fight against her make them able to capitalize on her weaknesses enough to be considered bad matchups for her. It's important to note your strengths against them and only engage when you know that you can win. For the AD carry matchups, Elise does well against anyone who does not have high utility, which is mainly just an escape and solid poke. This leaves Ezreal, Graves, and Caitlyn as bad matchups for Elise. Against these matchups, it's very important to avoid taking free damage, and when you do get into a fight, you need to not let them use their escape to avoid a ton of damage and kite you. For ADs to play with Elise, she will synergize fairly well with anyone who just has great damage during the laning phase. Note that you can play her and do well with any AD, it's just that she synergizes better with some ADs of course. She will do well with all AD carries except for Ashe, Kog'Maw, and Sivir in lane. For my masteries, I take a similar setup to my melee supports, which is a 122-7 page, with summoner spell cooldown reduction in utility, maximum tankiness and defense, and of course the exhaust mastery in offense. For runes, I also take a similar setup to my melee supports, which is armor reds and yellows, magic resist blues, and gold pretend or movement speed quints. For summoner spells, I take the standard flash and exhaust for kiting and the escape of course. For skill order, you want to put your first point into your E at level 1, and then proceed to max Q and then W second. Get the first point into your W at level 4, and of course put points into your ultimate whenever possible. This skill order will give her maximum damage in fights while also utilizing her utility. Lastly, for item builds, an Elise support actually has a very unique item build. Start with the standard Fairy Charm 3 wards and 2 potions, and then if you are ahead, build Haunting Guise, Sork Boots, and then Sightstone. If you are even or behind, build Sightstone and then the Haunting Guise and Sork Boots. From then, build a tanky item. I usually build Sunfire Cape, Randuin's, or Warmogs, but if your team needs it, you can get an aura item here like Aegis Locket or Shurelya's. After that, I'll finish up the Liandry's and build another tanky DPS item like Zhonya's or Abyssal Scepter. For a final build of Sork Boots, Liandry's, and one tanky AP item, with a Sightstone and an extra spot for the wards you need to buy throughout the entire game. With my Fairy Charm, I will either sell it or build it into Shurelya's, of course. If your team needs it, you can also buy an Oracle's after you finish the Sorcerer's Boots, Haunting Guise, and the Sightstone. The reason why the build is like this for Elise support is because it allows her to do enough damage to people to be able to zone or kill your opponents very easily, allowing her to be a much stronger force at all points during the game. If you build a standard support build on her, you'll be almost useless, except for your stun of course. So, that's it for my Elise support guide. I'd love it if you could support me with a like or some feedback in the comments, and if you have any questions, I would absolutely love to see you in the comments too. Also, I've made a Facebook and a Twitter page, so I'll have links in the description if you want to follow me on those. Please subscribe for more awesome content in the future if you enjoyed this video, and as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.